Telstra is considering a major axing of jobs. The telco says it's looking at slashing 2,800 jobs from its direct workforce. It's one of multiple measures designed to reset its business and simplify operations as well as improve productivity. In a statement, the CEO, Vic Brady, says the measures are necessary to ensure the telco can continue to make the investments needed to support the ever-increasing growth of data volumes and deliver improved connectivity for customers. All right, let's go to former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy, who once upon a time was Communications Minister. Stephen, thanks for your time as ever. Look, I know it's very fresh news. I mean, I guess the interesting reaction about this, there's the Telstra element to it, but maybe the overall jobs element. You know, if we start seeing some of these major announcements, you know, the soft landing, I guess, gets harder.
Well, that's right. I mean, all of the data, not the market economists' conversation, but all of the data is suggesting that economic growth is really slowing faster than the RBA want to acknowledge, that the market economists want to acknowledge. You just look at the GDP figures, you look at the unemployment figures, you look at all of the indicators, retail sales, that Australians are doing it very, very tough. So it's no surprise, unfortunately, to see major corporations having to make decisions like this. It's incredibly disappointing for those workers and their families. And, you know, the trend will continue. The Reserve Bank continues to posture, continues to think its entire audience is 20 or 30 economists who work in banks and, you know, a few boardrooms, whereas it's not taking into account the impact it's having with its ridiculous rate rises over the last couple, which weren't necessary, are proving to be unnecessary. And so you would just hope that they actually have a good hard look at what's going on in the real economy based on real data, not their, you know, forecasts, which they just keep getting wrong.
So I guess that's an interesting part of this, you know, on inflation. We heard after the budget, Treasury has a better record than the RBA. Nonetheless, it is a bold move from the Treasurer because there's this sense, is there not, Stephen Conroy? Whatever is fair or unfair, from here, Labor's going to own the inflation figure, given the forecast and the confidence Jim Chalmers has spoken about here. I'm not saying what's fair. I know there's other factors. I get all that. But that's what voters are going to think, isn't it?
You know, Jim Chalmers has set a very bold prediction for inflation. Now, if you look at the measures that were taken around energy relief last year, you can see that they fed directly into what was already a reducing inflation rate, but they fed in and helped drive that down. So I think Treasury and the Treasurer have got real confidence that these measures on rental, on energy relief, will have a direct impact on that inflation number and drive it down faster than the Reserve Bank want to accept or acknowledge.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and that's, look, we'll only know that in the next few months. Endless arguments around if you get money here, maybe you spend it there. So we won't bother arguing about that today. We'll just see what happens. Interested to know your thoughts on immigration. The coalition obviously going to this particular area. Has Stephen Miles sort of showed that this is going to be something that's sort of popular because he's facing up to an election and he's come up and said, hey, great idea. In fact, this was my idea.
Yeah, look, I think there's a consensus across the country that because we're having such supply side difficulties, meaning we're not building houses fast enough, we're not building accommodation fast enough, that we need to moderate the incoming migration levels. Now, I always disagree with the argument that, you know, it was 500,000. There's really only about 180,000 permanent migrants. A lot of the rest of the backpackers we talk about that are needed in various sectors, a lot of them are students who only come for a short period of time. Now, they all still got to live somewhere. That's a very valid argument.
Yeah, they've got a rent in particular.
Yeah, that's right. So that is a valid argument. So I think a moderation for the next few years in the way Labor's proposing is irresponsible. What the Libs are doing is pretending they're doing something tough when they're not really. I mean, you saw that conversation you had earlier, I think, with Paul Fletcher. You know, the decrease is only 10% for the next 2 years, and then we start going back up. And then, as you said, you know, Peter Dutton's freelancing. So they want to talk tough on this, but they also didn't do anything about it in government. They knew that they couldn't do anything about it in government because it was too severer consequences for the economy. But they want to look tough between now and the next election.
Stephen Conroy, always good to get your thoughts. Thank you.